1, 2, 3.
Hello everyone, this is Kyle Galaz with Poor2Pro Car Sales Training Podcast. Become a sales titan. I get to do a very special episode. It's the first of its kind in the podcast, and I'm really excited to get this show started. We are in season 7. This is episode 7, and it's called Love and the Car Business. I got to give a shout out to Sawyer Munch for giving me the idea of this episode. Later last month, I had my 22nd wedding anniversary with my wife, and I made a post about it with a collage of pictures. And Sawyer said, "Hey, Kyle, you should do an episode on maintaining a relationship and the car business at the same time. Like, how does one do that? How does one get to 20 plus years?" And, from what I understand, from what people tell me, that's a rarity nowadays, getting to 20 plus years of marriage and being in the car business. So, Sawyer, I appreciate the idea. That idea has never even crossed my mind to talk about, almost some more personal things, but if it goes hand in hand with business, because your home life is, a large portion of your mental state. Your home life is a large portion of your success and what we define as success. So, Sawyer, thank you again for this idea. I'll have a link to Sawyer on my description of this episode so you can check him out and friend him. Make sure you guys are friending any of these people that I shout out or that are in my episode descriptions, because I want to create a circle of salespeople that are like-minded. And I love it when I click on somebody and it says we have a mutual friend and you guys found each other through the podcast. This is what it's all about, is all of us going to the top together. Not just one or two of us, all the Poor2Pro family rising to the top. So thank you, Sawyer. I also want to give a shout out to Lewis Bass. He gave me a $100 donation about a month ago or two, and I made a post about every $50 you donate, you get a shout out on the podcast. So he dropped 100. So this is his second shout out, Lewis Bass. I'll make sure his description or his link is in the description. Thanks a lot for that donation. It means a lot. It goes back into the podcast so I can make better content, have better equipment, and hopefully one of these days start visiting dealerships, which I've had the opportunity to do now a couple times, and meet some salespeople in person, in flesh. It's really cool to be able to do that. So I appreciate that. Also, I know a lot of you salespeople out there share the podcast. You guys send the links to your buddies, that you share it with new salespeople. If you guys could just keep doing that, you girls can keep doing that. I see my new Spotify followers popping up every day I check. It's very important to me to see the podcast getting new followers. So please keep doing that. Keep sharing the podcast. I really, really appreciate it. And reach out to me at any point, because I want to hear from you. I want to hear your successes. I want to hear your struggles, because we're all in it together, and I want to help you guys out, and I'll give you my best 100% of the time. Okay, without further ado, let's get into this episode. Love and the car business. Now, what I mentioned, it's the first time doing this in my podcast. I actually have a guest in-house right next to me, within 4 inches of me. And I'd like to introduce my beautiful wife of 22 years. Her name is Kendall Galaz. Hello, Kendall.
Hello, hello.
Are you excited to be here?
Yes, I am.
It's a long time coming.
Yes.
Kendall and I got married. I was 19 and Kendall was 20.
Thank you for bringing that up. Yes, okay. I am 2 months older than you.
She's 2 months older than me. But we've come to the agreement that when she turns the next year or age, I do too. So we've even synced up our birthdays. So my year lasts 10 months and hers lasts an entire year. But, when I was thinking about this episode after Sawyer mentioned it, I thought I could just yap away about my relationship, but how about we have the person that's literally my other half? If I talk about a relationship, I'm talking about 50% of what I do in it, and Kendall's the other 50%. So Kendall, thank you for coming on the podcast.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me. It makes me feel important.
Yes, well, you are important. So we kind of started talking about what we want to talk about in this episode. And what we're going to talk about actually stems back to the early days of me being in sales, because we got married in 2002, August 30th, and I started in the car business about 6 months later or so, in February, right before our first daughter was born. So she has been part of my entire car sales career. So she has seen the backside version of the car business, and I've seen the front side. I'm at the dealership, she's at home. She sees me come home either upset or happy, on a euphoric state, cloud nine, or in the dumps. So we'll get some perspective there from Candle. But I'm pretty excited about this. Okay. Oh yeah, before I move on, I want to say that if you have the right support system at home, it gives you a different kind of confidence at work. And when I go to the dealership and I know that Candle has my back 110%, no matter the outcome of the day, it gives me a different confidence. And there's a lot of roots to our relationship that help both of us do better, in life, of course, but me at the dealership. And this episode, before I get too far into it, I'm not giving relationship advice because every relationship is different, right? What we're doing here is we're just talking about us.
Yes.
And what has worked for us
Yes.
over the last 22 years in the car business. So if something in this episode doesn't sound like it works for you, don't use it. And if something rings true, then you might be on the right path for something in your relationship. So just take it and do what you will with this episode, but I feel like it's an important episode to go over.
And I feel like that kind of goes into the first point of what actually works, is what works for us, and that kind of takes us to our first point of we make our own rules. What works for them, make their own rules. We make our own rules based off of how we feel and what we're comfortable with. And it's not in cement, it's fluid. So sometimes a few years go by and what we used to be fine with, now we need something different because the kids are grown, or we have different responsibilities, or you have a different position in the dealership. And so what used to work isn't working anymore, and it's okay to change it. But we make our own rules, whatever we're really fine with, whatever we're really not fine with. And we kind of have to be careful not to let just like society's ideas of what should be fine and not fine. Maybe that does work for us, maybe it doesn't work for us. You kind of have to dig inside of ourselves and kind of really decide this is fine with me, and oh wait, that's not okay with me, and then we just make our own rules.
Yeah, it is very true, because just like the car business, every day is different. The car business throws so many different pitches at us, curveballs, fastballs, change ups. And it's almost the same for the relationship of a car salesperson. There's too many things that are, I guess, dynamic. They're not static. They're dynamic. Everything's changing in the car business. And your shifts are different. And your hours are different. And your customers are different. Well, to expect the relationship that you're in to be, static, where it's the same, 5 o'clock, I'm home by 5:05, dinner's ready. And everything's perfect, and I do laundry on Sundays, and I take the kids out on Tuesdays, and we go to this pizza place on Wednesdays. That doesn't work in the car business. And I think that's kind of what you're talking about too, is like we're the rule makers, we're the music makers.
Right. Yeah.
And are there any other examples that you can think of? Like,
I'm just thinking when we were first married, and I had this idea of having dinner together every night as a family, no matter what. And we actually do have dinner together every night as a family. But I had to kind of shift my perspective of, am I okay with that if it's not going to look exactly like I imagined it to look? And so I had to decide, like, if you're working a deal and you have to work late, I'm not going to give you the backpack of guilt. I'm going to be like, okay, we're going to eat dinner because it's ready. Or sometimes we wait. Sometimes we wait for you if there's other things to do. And then we're just excited for when you get home. We've saved it for Dad. Like, it's still a family event because everyone is, like, ready for you to come home and your dinner is ready and we greet you out the door. But I had to just be okay with maybe some people feel like, oh, if he says he's going to be home at 5, but he's not home till 7, I am not okay with that. I feel disrespected. And that's fine. Maybe that person does feel disrespected. But if you text me and say, hey, I'm working a deal, this might be the commission. Yeah. It's pretty exciting for me to be like, okay, go make that commission, babe. Right. Dinner will be here when you get home. Don't worry about it.
It is true. Like, and when we talk about making our own rules, is Candle sets the dinner time up at like 7:15 because my dealership closes at 7, and I'm usually the closing manager. So you've made it to where we have dinner at 7:15, 7:30. Yeah. So a lot of times the expectation of having dinner is just we've switched it to that time.
Yeah.
And because that's when it works. Now, if I work a late deal, like she said, sometimes they'll eat because my daughters wake up really early to go to school and all that other stuff. So sometimes I do miss those dinners with the family. Over 22 years, I've missed a lot of dinners, a ton of them. I've missed a ton of events, but her expectations of time frame have adjusted. And luckily, we started young, so it's not like we were set in stone of, you know, this is how it's going to be in this household. We kind of went with the flow with the car business. The car business has really shaped our relationship in a lot of ways.
Yeah. I mean, we just learned to pivot. If you're going to get off earlier, because, you know, especially when you were a salesman and your shift changed drastically, like 8 to 3 or 11 to 7. Like, are you getting off at 3 or 7? Those are two totally different days, really. So you just have to pivot.
Yeah.
Just have to be flexible. And we had to learn how to be flexible.
Yeah. I do a lot of comparisons to like MMA and boxing. And you got to zig and zag in a boxing match. You can't get punched. So same thing with the relationship. Both parties have to zig and zag.
Yeah.
So to keep it healthy, but
yeah. I think, unless there was like something super important, because there's a difference in you know, missing dinner or missing a graduation or an event where I just like really for sure need you to be there, because some of that is figuring out, okay, we have friends, they want us to do something with them, and then I have learned to say, we will come, I will for sure be there on time, and Kyle will meet us in case he has to work late. Like, he's planning to get off in time, but if he has to work late, then he has to work late, and he'll get there when he gets there, but I'll be on time. So I found that if I, like, pre-prep that conversation, then I feel way less stress and responsibility towards people, and then I don't feel like I have to dump my stress on you. Because I want you to be at work light, solid, feeling like everyone's got your back here. But, so if there's something that is important to me, I let you know, like, this is important to me.
Yeah. And those are the times I would ask my boss when I was a salesman, hey, I have to go at this time because of this. And usually I'd have to find someone to cover me, or my boss would say, cool, man, get going if there's a big event or something special or, you know, one of those bigger things that it was very important to handle, where it's like, no, Kyle, you need to be there. Okay, I'll make it happen.
Yeah.
Right? Because we can always sell more cars later, but some of those events that your significant other says, I need you to be there, sometimes you can't get those back. So as a car salesperson, if you want to have that strong relationship, make the time when they make sure it's VIP. You guys could have a code word on the super VIP stuff, like, okay, if I say this word in this sentence, I need you to be there. You know, you make something up that works for you.
Like, we have code blue.
Yeah, code blue. We got something when we have a thing when we have headaches. If one person has a headache, it's mandatory, and it's not even a real rule, but we just take care of each other to get the Excedrin for the other person. If Candle says she has a bad headache, I know that that's code for I need to get her Excedrin right now. And the same for her. And we always get each other Excedrin.
Yeah.
All the time. Well, when we have headaches. I guess we have a lot of headaches, maybe. But,
well, it's just important to know, like, okay, if I tell you something is code blue important to me, this event, then no matter what, you have to get it off. Even if you're in the middle of the deal, you just...
I got to turn it.
You got to turn it.
Yeah, those... And that can really mess up a relationship, too. So if something's extremely important for Candle, and I shrug it off because I'm making, you know, a commission, or I don't want to split it, and I'll be there late, and I happen to miss it, those little times where it was a VIP, you don't get them back. So yes, the car business is our obsession. It's everything. But if you truly want to have that healthy relationship outside of the car business, and trust me, it's not the easiest thing, because we've done 22 years going on 23 of it. You just have to take that realization that it's very important to my significant other, I can always sell more cars. That's what being a sales titan's about. Remember, success looks different to a lot of different people. Success in the car business to me is you absolutely annihilate numbers at work. You're the number one guy. You're selling 15 to 24, 30 cars, 50 cars, whatever it is. But then you can go home to something. Man, there's nothing more successful than having someone with open arms, welcoming you home and being your cheerleader and, supporting you. But it's a two-way street for sure. You can't just take from your significant other and say, I'm the money person. I'm the one who makes all the money, because that mentality will push them away and okay, well, he makes all the money, so I don't have a relationship because he makes the money. Well, I'll go find a new relationship. And so you got to be careful with that. Is yes, you make the money if you're the man of the house and you're selling a ton of cars and maybe your spouse or significant other doesn't work, but you got to walk that fine line of it's a 50-50 thing, and you got to respect them like you're respecting yourself and your boss and all that stuff. So
yeah, because in our position, you make the lion's share of the money in our house for sure, but it's just you also make me feel important. You don't make me feel less than ever. You make me feel important and special, and you make me feel valuable. Yep. Yeah.
Yep. And I have this thing there where I can go get my daily snacks at the gas station with no guilt. So it adds up, though.
The Jiffy Lube lives off of Kyle's income.
Jiffy Stop.
I'm Jiffy drinking Stop, oil. Yeah. The Jiffy Stop,
Jiffy Stop.
Kyle's keeping them in business.
I know. They even have nicknames for me. That's how bad it is. So, all right, we'll move on to the next one. We have a thing where that we did a long time ago, and I actually kind of forgot about it. Kendall reminded me that we used to do this when I was in sales, and it was if I had a deal on my day off. I had a customer coming in, and they wanted to look at some cars, or maybe there was a car picked out, and what I would do is kind of gauge, okay, is it worth my time to come in on my day off and work that deal, or should I split it with another salesperson? So we kind of had a threshold. If I was going to make $400 or more, so $401 or more on the commission, I would come in on my day off.
Yep.
Because we needed some threshold to do, and we felt like $400+ was worth keeping the whole deal. Yeah. And me missing, because we all know customer comes in. They say they're going to be there at 1. You get there at 12:30, get the vehicle set up, and then they're not there till 3. And the deal has all kinds of weird things. And next thing you know, you got there at 1 on your day off, and you're leaving at 7 when it was supposed to be a 3-hour thing. So we came to that threshold that if it was $400 or more in commission, I would go in and sell the car.
Yeah.
If it was $399 or less, I would split it, because I felt like my daughters growing up, they're at a small age. I felt like losing $200 on a half deal, but getting to spend my scheduled day off with my family and my kids, and they're only young for so long type thing. I felt like that was worth taking the time off and splitting it with somebody else, because again, when I come back, I can make up that half, but I can't make up that. I think Layla was in a ballerina at the time, 2 years old.
Yeah.
They were in these little events that I felt like I couldn't miss a whole lot of. Because in a blink of an eye, think about 2 years, in a blink of an eye, your kid goes from 2 to 4. 2 more years from that, they're in school. And so you miss out on those small opportunities with your kids or your wife or your spouse or your significant other. And we felt like that $400.
Yeah. And we came up with the $400 threshold together, which made me feel involved. So, these days, $400 doesn't go as far as it used to. But if you come up with a particular amount with your partner of this amount is what's worth missing stuff that can be missed for. I mean, not like surgeries or a graduation, but little rinketing stuff, the cousin's birthday party or whatever can be missed. Those things are fine, and this is the money that we came up with. And then it made me feel like I had power in the decision, because we decided on that price, on that set limit, the dollar amount.
I remember
together.
Setting that with you. But I totally forgot, because it's been years since we've talked about that or done that.
And what it did is it shifted the focus from being sad Dad's not there to excited Dad's going to make money.
Yeah.
So that was nice, because we could shift it from being sad to being excited and looking forward to something. Because I know for you it's about making money, but it's also about closing the deal. You just like the thrill of the kill.
Yeah. I always was prideful, not egotistical, but I always had a big pride about being the number one grossing salesman at the dealership. Yeah. Even at the end of my sales career, before I went into management, I was the number one grossing salesperson for my last 2 years in sales. So holding gross was very important to me. I think the thrill of holding that gross really is my driving force. But getting the units, of course, too. But you're right. Even if on a mini deal, I still get excited about. I always get excited about selling cars, even if it was a mini deal. But those days off and coming up with that $400 mark, I felt like was an important decision, because then I know that I can take my day off guilt-free because I'm not missing a ton of money.
Right.
But if it was a big voucher and I was going to make $1,200, then I go in and sell the car, even if it took all day, or $800, because those are big numbers to pass up and split. So that was cool.
And sometimes, and you know what else I feel like it did? It gave you like the power to make the decision in the moment, because a lot of times someone would call you. I'm not in the room. I'm outside in the backyard or wherever. And you can say, you know which deal it is. You know how much money is it. You can say yes or no right then. You don't have to be like, well, let me go ask my wife. Because we've already created this boundary.
True.
And this decision.
Yeah, because that's embarrassing when you with a customer. Well, it's my day off and I'm with the family. Let me ask my wife. So I don't know if anyone does that, but so you'd have to get with your manager, because you some deals you don't know how much you're going to make. So now it's like, well, I don't get to see how much I'm going to make or whatever. So that can be a factor too that you got to figure out. Maybe you can call your manager on your day off, say, hey, I have a customer coming in to look at this. I have a lot of plans set up, but I'll come in if it's a big old voucher. Can you take a look for me? And maybe your manager is cool enough to where he's like, oh yeah, it's a 4-pounder. Yeah, you'll make $1,000. Okay, I'll be right there.
Yeah.
But you'll have to figure that out if you feel like that number threshold is worth it or not. You may go in no matter what the voucher is on the deal, because you just want car deals, and that's
every
okay.
dollar matters.
That's totally fine. It's just what works for us. Remember, we're not giving advice. We're just kind of telling what's worked with us. Number 3, I think, on our list that we were talking about is missing events as a salesperson. This is a sacrifice that the car salesperson makes and has, and hopefully your significant other can understand that you're not going to always be there for these events and whatevers and parties and birthday parties, and because we got business to handle. And if you truly want to make money and sell a bunch of cars, guess what? You kind of have to be at the dealership to do that. But you have to also pick and choose, because you have to also be present in your relationship outside of the dealership. So missing events, and off the top of my head, I can't think of a ton of events I've missed because it's been so many years, but I know there's a ton that I've probably missed that, dinners and birthdays.
There's a ton. I could think of a ton.
Yeah, there you go.
But you know what I do appreciate, though, is that there's a ton of events that you missed half of. Because even if you're only there for the last half or the last little bit, you always, I know that, you're excited, you just sold this car, you're waiting for your voucher, you're excited to do all these things, but you just hurry to whatever event because I'm there. And
that is true. I remember going to a lot of events half.
Yeah, there's not a lot of events you miss completely, but there are some events, there's a lot of events show up late. Yeah. Although, what about this Thanksgiving? You missed Thanksgiving. We had a whole whole trip planned out to go to Thanksgiving, but then it turned out you had to work to cover for the other manager.
Yeah.
And it is what it is, and that was okay, because you have this amazing job that we're all thankful that you have, and so we had to go to Thanksgiving without you, but that was okay.
Yeah, that does happen, the events.
Yeah.
Okay, here's another one we were talking about. Being a salesperson / professional that actually goes home after work. So, I was thinking about when I was in sales and had those euphoric days where I hat tricked and I made $2,000 or $3,000, and it's like you're on cloud 9. I mean, it's crazy. And there's something about that when that happens that you don't want to leave the dealership. It's magnetic, because you're putting away trades and, you're buttoning stuff up and you're kind of just talking because you're in this mode of like, oh my gosh, so successful, and you don't want to leave it. And I've seen that happen where, a salesperson, because I've lived it, where you have all these successes and you don't go home right away because you want to kind of relish in it. But you got to remember who's waiting at home for you, someone that you could also share that success with, and go home and tell them about the hat trick. And even if they may not understand all the car lingos and can't keep up with you because you're so excited, it's nice to be able to share that with other people too, not just your coworkers and your boss. Go share it with your family and tell them, I did this and I did that and I closed this, and talk good about the car business, because a lot of spouses and people outside the car business don't like the car business. One, because they had experiences with it. Another reason why is because they might know a car salesperson that always talks smack about the ar business. Oh, I can't stand this about it, this and that. I barely make any money. Well, instead of going home and telling your family those kind of things, which I'm guilty of, some of the negatives, I also try to talk about the positives and my successes. Like right now, I've been buying a lot of vehicles off the street for the dealership because we've been low on inventory, and I go home and tell the family about how many purchases I did in a day, because it's exciting for me. So sharing the good and the bad, but make sure you guys go home after work and make sure the household is taken care of before you go back out and go golfing and do all that stuff. Because if you truly want that successful relationship, you got to come home and foster it and take care of it, and then go out and do your stuff. If you're leaving the dealership at 9 and heading to the bar and hanging out with your buddies and you're ignoring the house and the family, and then you come home late and they're all asleep, you're missing out on crucial times. I'm not telling you how to live your life, but there's all your little birdies are at home waiting for, the dad bird to come home and feed them, and not necessarily feed them food, but, feed them love and feed them knowledge, and, share your day's successes and some of your failures, because they're learning and they're waiting for their dad and they're waiting for their husband to come home.
And I think that's pretty big in our household. We try to foster a positive mindset. So when you come home and you're sharing like, oh, I was able to, buy a lot of cars for the dealership, or, oh, we sold this, there was this really hairy deal, but this is how we solved it. And you're sharing all these wins with us. It makes us feel like we win too. It makes us have skin in the game and feel like we're a part of something too. And so we can celebrate and feel positive with you, which makes us want to invest in it with you.
Yeah.
Because we feel like we're part of it.
Yeah.
Include us.
There's been a lot of times where I've told my wife, Candle, and my kids, Layla and London, about car deals. And they almost like absorb some of the skill, because I've noticed that they use some of the closes on me sometimes, and like...
It's true. They use them on each other to do each other's chores. They make deals with each other. I mean, one time we told London when she was younger she couldn't go outside to play until her room was clean. She goes, okay, let me go tell my friends I can't play with them anymore. That girl walks in the house. She's got 6 neighborhood kids following her to go clean her room for her.
That way she could go play.
And I was thinking to myself, tell me you're a car salesman's daughter without telling me you're a car salesman's daughter.
Yep. Come on, guys. Do you want me to play? Well, yeah. Well, help me clean my room. They're all coming in and cleaning. So, yeah, after work, make sure you guys go home. Girls go home and check on that family. Check on that relationship. Or include them on your extracurricular activities if you're going golfing or basketball or the arcade or whatever people do nowadays after work. Make sure you include them, because if you want to have a healthy relationship outside of the workplace, then you have to do stuff with them, and you can't just do all the fun stuff at work and then go do the fun stuff after work and then come home and sleep.
Babe, that's major. Remember when you were really into hiking and you would take the girls on the hikes with you?
Yeah.
And I mean, nowadays they still talk about Tokopah Falls and that hike and all of these things that just shape them and make them feel more confident. And love you.
Yeah, my days off were with my buddies, Layla and London and Candle, not my buddies outside of, the high school buddies and all that. They were my buddies, and so I would take them on hikes, and even Candle went on a few hikes. So we have videos on YouTube of our hikes as a family, and just trying to foster that relationship. So because it gives back to you as a car salesperson, they support you the more you support them, and you guys both build each other up. And And then you're not at work stressing about relationships. We've all had at some point in our lives a toxic relationship where you're at work and you're trying to sell cars and all you can think about is, this toxic relationship. They're texting you, they're calling you, and they're bringing you down, and you can't focus on car sales. It's better to be alone than with somebody like that that's screwing up your career and keeping you, up at night and, whatever. It's just, you got to have that balance so that way you have that support at work.
Right.
I think it's a big thing.
Huge.
Okay, another thing we were talking about is social media and distractions.
Dun, dun, dun.
Yeah, I mean, social media now, when I first got in the car business in 03, there was no social media. There was no Facebook. There was not even YouTube. I remember when YouTube came out.
Yeah.
And I went to it, and there was barely any videos on it. I mean, it was crazy. There was barely any videos in 05. And so there wasn't a whole lot of social media for distractions. And now we're in the age of social media and distractions and people hitting you up, for relationships or someone flirting with you on social media. And how do you handle that?
Right.
And, keeping that out, the social media toxicity out of your real relationship.
Yeah.
And I think that flows into kind of the next one too. But what do you think about social media?
I think we have to keep it in perspective of what it is. It's a tool to foster your business or to bolster, your skill set. It's just another tool to use. You can't get too lost in it. You can't get in it too deep. But like for us, when you have 6 different social media things, you've got Instagram, Facebook, Twitter,
all of that,
all the different things that you're going on to, all the different platforms, whatever platform you're currently recording on, all these different platforms that you have to check in on and update and do all those things. You have to be careful of your relationships, and then you also have to be careful of just like, it's just time consuming.
Yeah.
It's just time consuming. So sometimes when I'm speaking to you, but you're just like remembering, oh yeah, I have to update this or notify that, and you start doing it on your phone, it can make me feel like ignored. And so we started doing that thing where if we're talking, we just have to put our phones down.
Yeah.
We're like talking to each other, we're talking to each other. And then another thing is, on the relationship side, babe, you're a snack. It's not a secret. But I love that, you keep professional friendliness, which is needed and appropriate and just fine. But if there ever is something that's just like, I don't know, that was like almost weird. If I even say almost weird, you immediately delete, remove, whatever, doesn't matter.
Yeah.
And you do it right there in front of me. Like, I don't even have to like give you a second reason or anything because you make me feel like I'm your first.
Yeah.
But I'm not petty about it. I don't feel like I kind of...
Well, there's times too, because I'm so friendly with everybody that sometimes I'll leave a friendly comment on a female's post and I realize, oh boy, shouldn't have done that, and delete it or and not nothing bad, just, like whatever.
Totally.
And sometimes Canna will see it, which I'm fine with, and she'll mention something and I'll delete it because, it's all about being professional and also respecting another person's opinion of something and respecting a relationship. But social media can be a trap, man. You get sucked into it. You don't realize what you're doing sometimes.
And guys and girls are different. What you think is probably professionally innocent, I'm like, well, a girl might take it like this.
Yeah, how you take it.
And also, like, you're getting older, so it means different things to the younger generation.
True. Yeah, stuff we used to say back then can be offensive nowadays, and you get reported for saying something that's like, dude, we used to say that all the time in the 90s.
The 90s are not allowed anymore.
Or the 80s, especially the late 80s. You say crazy stuff.
Yeah.
And now everyone gets offended by that stuff.
Yeah.
So social media, just be careful on it. If you're getting friend requests from models in Ukraine, you probably want to hit decline than approve. Because they're probably not really interested in you, and they're scammers.
It's true. And, it's just kind of going into our second point, where you have to remember what is your number one priority. And if something makes the other person feel unimportant or unheard or less than, stop that thing immediately and figure it out.
Yeah. Your first life is your I guess,
Your family.
Your family and your household. That's the first life. Your second life is the car business. And if you have it the other way around, then your family life will suffer, and that's when you start having relationship problems, and that's when you see a high divorce rate in car salespeople, and a lot of people don't get married anymore, but you'll see a high, I got 9 ex-girlfriends over the last 9 years because of this. And if you truly want to have a good relationship inside the business and outside the business with a significant other, they need to be first. It has to be family first, car business second, which goes against a lot of the grain of salespeople, because they want to make a tremendous amount of money. But what good is a tremendous amount of money if you got no one to share it with, and you're taking selfies by yourself instead of with a beautiful wife and kids. That's the whole point of grinding every day and digging deep and finding that motivation, is to share it with somebody. Because that's how humans are. We're social people, and you want someone around. I mean, if you ask anybody, would you like to have a beautiful family? I don't know anybody that's going to say no. Would you like to have a successful career and a beautiful family? Oh, absolutely not. I just want to have a successful career and be lonely. That doesn't exist.
Yeah.
And if they say that, they're probably lying, because they want to keep a front up, because they are lonely. And I've known a lot of lonely salespeople in the car business that all they want, because they get these big checks, all they want is to have that significant other that they love, and a family, and a life outside of the dealership. But if you do happen to have that significant other in your life right now, send a text and tell them I love you.
Yeah.
And when you go home, make sure you're present there, and remember, that's my real life. Because guess what? There's probably 10,000 plus dealerships in the USA right now, 10,000 plus. But there's only one of your significant others right now. Yeah. So remember that when you're putting the weight of your soul into something, remember number one is the family, significant other. Number two is the car business. And, of course, there's other factors. I'm just talking about those two. But one of the big factors in me and Candle's life is God.
Yeah.
And being a Christian family. And that's actually our number one, is God.
Yeah.
But, not everyone believes in God. Not everyone is religious. But that is our basis of everything, is we love God. We love Jesus. And
that means that we're praying for each other.
Yeah, we pray a lot. We pray for each other. We pray before dinner. We pray when there's, people at the dealership will say, hey, my uncle's in the hospital from a car crash. Please pray for me. We're the kind of people that actually pray. We don't just send the emoji. We pray.
Yeah. And
I think that's a big factor. That's the number one thing, is that. So if we want to put it in order for our relationship, is God, family, and then the car business. Yeah. Now you may not be that type of person. I'm not saying to go out and be religious, but that's just what's worked for us. Right. That's why in the beginning of this episode I said this is not relationship advice. This is just us telling our story. Yeah. But it's what's worked for us over 22 years.
Yeah. I think we kind of gave the language of first life and second life, so that when we're having a discussion that is emotional, we're just like, that is your second life. This is your first life. And something is happening here that we need to make sure that doesn't fall through the cracks, that we attend to right away. So we kind of gave the lingo of first life, meaning this is first, and then family. Second life, which is your work, because I get it. That's a whole life. You're Kyle Galaz, sales titan, leading everybody up with all of your great training tools and training abilities and just leading by example. And you're this incredible person. And that is an entire life, and that is amazing, and I love it, and I love what you do. But then there's this life, which is your first life. This is the real. This is real. This is first life. And so we kind of gave it that first life, second life lingo to just be able to talk about it easily. But I kind of think about it like, this is the first life because your second life, the car business, it's supporting your first life.
Yeah.
Your family is not here to support. I mean, although we do support, you don't have a family so that you can have a car business.
Yeah.
You know? But you are at the car business because you have a family.
Yeah, and I want a family.
Yeah, you need to you want to provide for us, and, you know, you want to protect us, and, you know, do all these things for us that are important for you to do for us, and probably important for a lot of men to do. But it's just nice because we understand that the second life supports the first life. The first life isn't there just so you can have a great second life.
Yeah, it's so true. And then that brings us to the kind of one of my mottos of my entire relationship with candles. Yeah. You want to say it, or you want me to say it?
You say it, baby. Say it the best.
I'm not perfect, but I'm perfect at trying.
It's true.
And it may even turn into a country song one day. But it's true. Like, I'm not perfect, but I am darn perfect at trying.
Yeah.
And I'm always trying my best. I'm always trying to have a great relationship. I'm always trying to make sure that if I did something wrong, I'm saying sorry. If I did something right, I can share the success. If I did something wrong, you know, I got to fess up to it or whatever. But no one's perfect, but we can all be perfect at trying our best. I am perfect at trying, and I will always try until I succeed or get something right and make something right. And that's something that I felt like whenever we had a fight or something, I would, like you said, I'm relentless at getting it fixed.
Yes.
Because in this kind of like my car sales career, I'm relentless in going for the sale.
Yep.
I'm also relentless in fixing an issue that I've maybe created or didn't create.
Yeah.
You know, if we have an issue and I'm at work, I'll call you until we get it handled, or I'll, you know, come home if I need to, and we'll figure it out.
If something used to work for us, but it's not working anymore, so we're trying to figure out, okay, what will work? It's not like we already pre-know what will work.
Yeah.
And so we're just trying to say, okay, we're having a problem here. What do we think will work? We're going to try this, because you're not perfect, but you're perfect at trying. And you really do try. That's the thing, is it's not like, you're not car salesing me. You're really going to make an effort to try and figure this out, to do it differently, or whatever we need to work on, and then you authentically do it. So then I feel like, okay, I don't have to be like, I can relax a little bit and believe your authenticity and that you're really going to try.
Yeah, and that seems to work.
Yeah, and it's happened. A lot, over and 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 over. Not every month, but I mean, we're always fixing something. We're always fine tuning something.
I'm good at making problems and breaking things.
Life is good at making problems, not just you. You know, like, you can't control everything, and new things come up, and then we have to figure out, you know, we tried this, it didn't work, we're going to try again, we're going to try something else. And so we just keep trying relentlessly. It's a really great asset of yours.
Yeah. In
business and at home. You're just a relentless person. You just never stop for what you want. You know what you want. That's a huge thing. Yeah,
that is a big thing. Make sure you guys know what you want out there. And if you want a good relationship, guess what? You probably get the good relationship. If you don't care about the relationship, you don't really want one, then you probably won't get one. But I hope this episode, you know, helps, and hope you can pick a few things from it. It's totally a different style episode than I've ever done, because it's more of a relationship type thing. But man, relationships help you sell more cars in the car business, and relationships can help you at home too, to have a balanced life, because you got to have some balance out there. And this isn't for everybody. Not everyone has a relationship at home, and some people don't want it. Some people just want to sell cars, and that's okay. But for the other people that this episode might help, I hope you guys enjoyed it. Anything else, babe?
I mean, I know, like, if you're a female car salesman, this is going to be, like, a little bit, obviously, opposite. Yeah, just take what we said and hit reverse in the episode. You're flipping weren't yet. Just kidding. Reverse it. And, or, you know, but I think the umbrella of figuring out what you're okay with, what you're not okay with, what your partner's okay with, what they're not okay with, and make it work for you. You guys set your own rules. Make your own rules. Yeah. And love each other hard. Yes. Love each other hard. All right. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Candle Galaz, Kyle Galaz, signing out. Bye.